What's up, folks, and welcome to the Modern Truths Throwback Thursday. I'm MJ, here with Alex Storm, and today we're going to talk about an old school movie. So, Alex, what movie are we talking about today?
So this week we watched Poltergeist, the original. It came out in 1982. It was directed by Tobe Hooper, written by Steven Spielberg, but there's a lot of talk that Steven Spielberg had a lot to do with the actual directing.
Yeah.
It was my first time seeing this since I was a little kid. It scared me so much when I was little. Watching it as an adult, I was a little nervous. I was like kind of dreading watching this one, but it actually wasn't. It wasn't too bad. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's rated PG, right? Is it PG?
I think PG or PG-13.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I mean, it's not like a super graphic, gory movie, but it's pretty darn scary. I'd say it's probably too scary for kids.
Yeah.
But it is just, I don't know. It's this fine line, because see, it's back in what I consider the golden age of horror, when there was some creativity, there were different approaches to horror. It wasn't all the same canned thing. And probably my favorite thing about this movie is just the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a cool family that they're together. Unlike a lot of modern films, the family, they don't have any issues. Shockingly, the parents like each other. I mean, the kids, they're being kids, they kind of, get into it every once in a while, but that's what kids do. But when they are faced with this supernatural, problem, they come together. You know what I'm saying?
They don't question each other. They aren't like opposing at all. They're all on the same team, fighting it together.
And that's really, to me, what makes this film so enjoyable. I mean, again, look, we've been on a nice streak here. We've been watching a lot of really good movies. This one I hadn't seen in a while. I have seen it since I was a kid, but it's still been a while since the last time I saw it. And I'm just like, man, this movie is great, man. It's awesome. It's just like, I think you get to a certain point where you just watch so many mediocre films that you go back and you watch an older movie and you're just like, oh my God. Like, I mean, when this came out, it wasn't like an instant classic. You got to understand, like, stuff like this is like, it was popular, but like a lot of these movies, you're just like, you go back and you watch movies that were just middle of the road from like 30 years ago, and they're just so much better than the vast majority of stuff that comes out now. And it makes you wonder, why? How did it get to this point?
I completely agree. I think that, like you mentioned, the thing that made it so enjoyable to watch was that you actually really like the characters. I feel like there isn't a horror movie that I've watched in years where I'm excited for the people to live. Really often I'm watching the family and like hoping one of them is the first one to die. Sometimes hoping that all of them die because I don't want any of them to live because I dislike them so much. But yeah,
wow.
I don't know, it happens.
Talk about a sadist.
It's fun. It's all imaginary. But no, in this movie, they were all likable. I was cheering for all of them. And having not seen it since I was really young, I didn't remember who would die or who would disappear in this movie. But the only person that was feasible and okay to like have actually die was the old lady, the helper, the spiritual cleanser lady who came at the end to help. Because the family, like, that they're going to stay intact and you want them to stay intact and you're, like, cheering for them. And there's, like, these heartfelt moments when the husband and wife are telling each other goodbye and, like, it seems, like, genuine when they're worried about their daughter. It was cool.
I was saying, again, their relationship seems so genuine. And so, this is going to be a little rare thing. Normally, we don't do this on Throwback Thursdays, but this is a rare moment. It has a remake. We've seen at least some of the remake. And we have to talk about, the remake that came out.
A month or two ago?
No, I think it was 2014, actually.
2014.
But close enough.
It's a while back.
Or was it this year? I don't even know. That's the point. It's just that bad. We don't even know when the movie came out, but it came out really recently. And so we watched it, and frankly, it's like the exact opposite of everything that's good about this movie. The parents are like, I don't know, are they getting along? Are they going to get a divorce? I don't know what their deal is. The kids are just lame, unlikable, weird. The whole dynamic is just totally off. And even the whole setup for them being in the house, it just none of it makes any sense. And I know there are certain things you had to change and update. I mean, in the original Poltergeist, they live in this neighborhood because this is like when the concept of the suburb was really becoming a thing in America, and just this idea of just expanding. And, so this guy works for essentially a realtor or a real estate company, so it kind of makes sense. And you really wouldn't be able to do that now. You couldn't just pick that up and lift it to current day, but the circumstances of the new one just don't make any sense. So I'm not gonna go too much in detail to it because that's a different discussion. But I will say it really just highlights how good this movie is when you have a remake of it, and you can just sit there and put it side by side and be like, oh my, why did they do this? What was the point?
There are things about it that could have been remade and made it better, but But I think even the concept of this movie, like the idea that it came out in the 80s and like having watched a lot of Scary Old Show.
Scary Old Show?
Yeah.
Tales from the Dark Side?
A lot of Tales from the Dark Side. Like this idea that technology was sort of a scary thing back then. That like TVs were like on and ominous in your house, which I still think they're kind of ominous in houses. But the idea that like someone might get sucked into the TV or that technology was going to overtake people is a really common theme of the 80s. And so that's something that like couldn't come through probably in the new one nearly as much because like we're used to technology. People aren't afraid of their TVs. Maybe they're more afraid of their cell phone stalking them than like their TV sucking them in.
Yeah. Girl gets sucked into her cell phone, you know, her iPad.
I mean, they all already are sucked into it.
iPads don't have static though, so it's you know, why is static a scary thing? Is it because of Poltergeist? The Poltergeist makes static scary?
Yeah, I think so. I think static. I think that's.
Do you all know what static is? I mean, you have to be of a certain age to have ever seen that on TV, I guess.
Definitely. So some parts that were really cool in the movie. The mom, when they discover this weird phenomenon where things slide across the room. Rather than being scared of it, she's like, whoa, this is great. Like, puts a crash helmet on the kids. Like, does this work on the kids?
Yeah.
And, like, really excitedly shows the dad. And I don't know. I love that. Because I would like to think that, like, before you're in a scary situation, when there's just some weird phenomenon, you would be like, oh, this is kind of neat. Like, let's play with this. Yeah,
and this is one of my number one rules about, you know, good horror. It's like, you know, you're sitting there in the audience, you're like, no, don't go through the door. No, open up the door. Don't do that. It's like you always have to remember that the characters in the story don't know they're in a horror movie. So this is like a great moment for that, where it's like they don't know they're in a horror movie. They think they're in a different Spielberg movie. They think they're in, you know, E.T. or something where it's gonna get cool, right? So it's like they're like, oh, this is so exciting, man. Just imagine if there was a spot in your house that just made you slide across the room. I don't think you would immediately be like, oh my, we're being haunted. You'd be like, well, this is a really weird like phenomenon. This is kind of cool though. So you might mess around with it. And so I really like that it's like, yeah, at first they're not afraid of it because why would they be? They don't know they're in a horror movie. So
yeah, that part's cool. Other things, I think the thing that like traumatized me from when I was a kid, which almost traumatized me again watching it, is the part with the meat. That's like, I mean, it's gotta be one of the most famous things for this movie is like the crazy magnets and the meat, and like then the guy ripping his face off. Which watching it now, like you can see it's, you know, it's all fake. It's a mask. Like there's been, I don't know, this has been done in lots of other horror movies, and it's done way better and more scary now. But for 1982, those two things were super creepy. And I don't know, it's still creepy, still cool.
I mean, I would go so far as to say that particular sequence, the one where the investigator guy, like goes in the kitchen and, you know, the meat gets crazy, starts ripping his face off. It feels like it doesn't even belong in this movie. Like, that is the most, like, disturbing, violent scene. And not violent, but, you know, just gory, super weird, like, whoa, dude, like, okay, we were with you, we were scared, man, but, like, you took it to some place that we weren't ready for right now. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine, back in 82, that must have been
it was shocking
really crazy. So
we have to talk about the crazy thing of like them coming through the slime. They go through this crazy slime portal and get shot out like covered in this goop and are just like hugging and kissing. It was awesome.
With the goop all.
Yeah, it was like, oh, these people, they must really love each other. It's like they just got birthed out of hell or something, and they're just like, oh, this is
I do want to give a special shout out to the mom specifically, because I really liked her character, man. I thought she's, I mean, I might go so far to say one of my favorite moms in, like, movies, just period. Like, they're kind of like hippies, you know, there's a scene of them hanging out in the room, smoking weed together, and the kids come in and they're like, oh, you know, it's funny, like, the husband's reading, was it?
Ronald Reagan?
I don't know, but something with Ronald Reagan on the cover, It's just so funny. I mean, again, this is why we do Throwback Thursday. This is why we love watching old school movies, because you get a glimpse in the past. You don't have to be a historian to enjoy this stuff, but you know, if you don't make it a point to go back and watch older movies, you should, because it's awesome. Not only are they really good sometimes, but you also get a glimpse into how people used to live.
And the idea that people in the audience, they knew people in the audience would be comfortable with this family who's like, a good, cohesive, happy family, smoking weed at night before they go to bed, and the mom like taking like sips of the investigator lady's whiskey or whatever, and it's okay. Yeah. There's nothing like traumatic or bad like going on.
And these are the things that seem like something that you wouldn't see in a movie today. Yeah. And again, I mean, you know, now you just need the parents being at each other's throat. I mean, look, I hate it. Look, call me naive. I don't know, but it just seems odd to me that every single thing that exists, it seems like, has to have
broken family.
Yeah, husbands and wives at odds with each other, kids who don't get along with their parents. I'm like, man, the novel concept is just a functional family at this point, right? I'd like to see more of those in movies, call me crazy.
I completely agree. I'm with you on that, especially horror movies where you would be band together to fight some evil force.
Yeah, nothing worse than the annoying, self-centered teenager when there's zombies outside the door and or a demon trying to possess, one of your children.
Exactly.
So I guess we can address diversity in this film. I mean, this movie is actually pretty diverse, particularly as far as having women in it. I mean, obviously they have 2 daughters. The main investigator of Paranormal Activity is a woman, and then they bring in the spirit cleanser or whatever she is. Yeah, she's also a woman. So, pretty good representation, I think, and a wide range of just like competent women too. It's like there really aren't any women in this movie that have any really negative characteristics. They're all there for a reason, and they all serve a positive function.
And something I really liked is you don't see, naturally, you don't see the women relying on the men in this movie. From the mom to the investigator, they're handling their own shit.
Yeah, they're running things.
Like take care of themselves, and like they might be teamed with the men, but they aren't being dominated or being like, take care of this because I'm scared, which is always cool to see.
Yeah, and then there's one black guy in the movie as well who's also, again, it's just so, it's like you see so many movies that follow these same old tired tropes, and you see a movie like this, and you're just like,
he's just a guy.
Why haven't people been copying this movie for the past 30 years? Like they're copying, Friday the 13th, which again, I love the Friday the 13th franchise, don't get me wrong. But, we don't watch those movies for well-developed characters and everything. But a lot of these movies think they're making developed characters or making characters we should care about, but they're copying Friday the 13th. Why not copy Poltergeist, I guess I just want to do one more thing, again, sort of bringing it back to current day. So Insidious, that franchise has been compared a lot to Poltergeist. And obviously there are a lot of similarities. Family moves into a house, weird things start happening, one of the kids gets in trouble. But again, I just want to reflect on the idea that in the original Insidious, the father is not on board with the rest of the family. And in chapter 2, he is definitely not on board because he's possessed. Spoiler alert, sorry. But it's just like, again, it's so frustrating. So let us know in the comments. You guys get frustrated too when you watch horror films and you have like either a human villain or characters who are not coming together to survive some crazy, paranormal thing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, is it just me? Let me know. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right.
Poltergeist is worth watching.
Yeah, very much so worth watching. So if you guys haven't gotten your Halloween marathon down for the week, make sure you add Poltergeist to that list. That will conclude this episode of Throwback Thursday. Again, I am MJ. You can follow me on Twitter at TheOnlyMJ, and she is Alex Storm.
I'm Alex Storm. You can follow me at Alex Storm, TMT, as in The Modern Truth.
And themoderntruth.com is where you can find all of our Throwback Thursday videos, movie discussions, and all the news you need to know. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. Take care.